Welcome to the first module, Introduction to Additive Manufacturing. In this module, we shall discuss about the definition of additive manufacturing, followed by the different terms we use to refer to call this technology. Also, we shall discuss about the capabilities of additive manufacturing and the classification of additive manufacturing based on ASTM and based on the raw stock material used. So, this slide summarizes the different type of keywords we use to call this technology. Like you can see, the most popular one is 3D. The keyword here is 3D or stereo. Then we call this technology as 3D printing or stereolithography. Other terms or keywords associated with them are like additive and hence additive manufacturing, also called as additive layered manufacturing or additive digital manufacturing, also called as additive layered manufacturing or additive digital manufacturing. The other keyword are like layer. When layer is a keyword, then the technology is called as layered manufacturing or layer based manufacturing, layer oriented manufacturing. Also, due to the capability of the process of realizing the freeform surfaces, the technology is sometimes called as solid freeform fabrication. Also, when the keyword associated such as digitals are there, then the technology is called as digital manufacturing. And when the rapid term is associated, the additive manufacturing technology also sometimes referred as rapid prototyping, rapid tooling and rapid manufacturing. Now, we shall discuss in detail why these terms are really required and what is the meaning behind it. So, the first one was 3D printing. The term 3D printing is as easy and simple as 2D printing. Therefore, many used to prefer to call this technology as 3D printing. The analogy is very simple. What you are seeing here, it is a 2D printer which can print any image on a two-dimensional object like on a flat surface, and this is a 3D printer which can make the object in 3-dimensional. I will give you a very simple example. This is an image of rhino which is printed on a 2D flat sheet. It is by 2D printing. The same thing, if I print by 3D printer, it will look something like this. Now, it is having 3 dimensions, the width, height as well as the length. So, that is why the technology is called as 3D printing. Like I said, sometimes we also call this technology as stereolithography, because lithography is nothing but writing in 2D and stereolithography is writing in 3D. The other term of reference is additive manufacturing. What we have seen in the term 3D printing is not giving any reason behind the physics of the process, while the other terms like additive manufacturing or layered manufacturing can help us in identifying the physics behind this process. So, basically when the term additive come into the picture, now I can really define the process appropriately. Additive manufacturing refers to the layer by layer fabrication of 3-dimensional physical models directly from computer aided design. It is an automatic process of manufacturing the objects such as parts, prototypes, tools and even assemblies directly from their CAD models without any cutter, tools or fixtures specific to the object geometry. How it works? This is the flow of the process. We start with pre-processing. In the pre-processing, we start with a CAD model. We convert this CAD model into the tessellated form. Tessellated form means the surface of the CAD model is represented by the collection of triangles, and then we do the slicing. Slicing means nothing but taking the intersection between the horizontal planes and these triangles, and hence after that we generate the support structure data. What is support structure? As it is already mentioned that we fabricate the parts in additive manufacturing by adding the material. If you are adding the material on the center of a substrate, it is not an issue, because the material is nicely supported from all the sides. But when you are talking about deposition of material on the edges like this, In this case, two forces will act. One, downward gravitational force, and also due to surface tension of the material, it will pull it like this. If the overhang feature is large, then in that case the droplet may roll down. In that case, the gravitational force will be higher than the surface tension force, and hence your droplet will fall down. What we need in that case, you need a support mechanism. Support mechanism is nothing but, you can extend this analogy from this image, where a large overhang is realized by the scaffolding. Later on, the scaffoldings are removed when the part get cured. It is an example of a big water tank. In a very similar fashion, in 3D printing also, when you are going to realize the overhanging feature, you need some support mechanism over here. And these support mechanisms has to be removed later on. But in the beginning itself, the CAD model has to be modified in such a way that these support can be accommodated like this. And then the part is sliced, and then hence we add the material appropriately. So, after processing the CAD model, that is the pre-processing, we realize the layers in an appropriate manner. There are different methods of realizing the layers. Those are basically classified by ASTM. We will discuss about that in the end today. Also, after building or stacking the layers one over another, we go for post-processing. In the post-processing, basically we first remove this support material, because this support material is not the part of the final object. You have to remove this support material after realizing the complete component. And also sometimes it is required to finish the part, because by additive manufacturing you always make some staircase effect. For example, you want to make a slant wall like this, and if by additive manufacturing you will end up making something like this. And hence you may need a finishing operation to remove this excess material. That is called as finishing here. Now let me come back to some of the terminologies which we have used and said that this particular technology can realize the objects directly from their CAD models without any cutter, tool or fixtures specific to the object geometry. Let me take an example. If you are going to make this particular cylindrical object, which is having a 6 mm diameter hole over here, and we are going to produce this part by lathe operation. On the lathe machine, you need a 3-jaw chuck to hold this object appropriately and a 6 mm diameter drill bit to make this drill. Now, if there is a change in the geometry of the object, instead of having a cylindrical object, now I have a cuboid object like this, and it is having a hole of maybe 8 mm diameter now. In that case, first of all your fixture will also change, because in that case you may prefer to go for the 4-jaw chuck, and also the drill bit may also change, because now you may prefer to use the 8 mm diameter drill bit. While in the case of additive manufacturing, we are going to realize this object in layer by layer fashion, which is nothing but each time we will take the intersection between a slice and the object, and hence we will get the corresponding region where material has to be added and where material need not to be added. If it is a circular hole or rectangular hole or of any diameter, we will just get a different region where the material has to be added. If this hole is smaller, then in that case this will be a small hole, and hence the region will change, nothing else. Therefore, this technology is independent of the object geometry. Now let us discuss about the other term like solid freeform fabrication. Basically, freeform structures are those structures, those are not standard. And as you have seen just now that this technology is extremely good in realizing the geometry, those are complicated in nature, and hence this is very much suitable for realizing the freeform surfaces also. That is why this technology sometimes is called as solid freeform fabrication. The another one is digital, and hence digital manufacturing or digital mock-up. So why we call this technology digital manufacturing? Basically, digital manufacturing are the set of technologies those can reduce the product development time and cost, as well as capable of addressing the need for customization, increased product quality and faster response to the market. And it is possible when a manufacturing technology can be integrated with the computers. And additive manufacturing fulfills this criteria. Why? Because it always follow a generic step or a generic methodology to realize the component. Whatever the shape, whatever the size, whatever the material is, it will follow this generic rule. What is that? We have just briefly discussed that. Now in detail we will discuss over here. We will first prepare the CAD model. Then we will generate the STL file. If required, we will manipulate this STL file, like we will rotate it, move it appropriately, and then we generate the support structures. Then we do the slicing of the object, and then we produce the part, the physical part, by adding the layers, and hence remove the support and do the post processing. If you have a different geometry each time your CAD model will be different. Therefore, we should have a generic method for generating the STL file. Let us discuss about this. What is this STL file? Because it is adding a real value over here, because that will make this technology digital. Another is how parts are realized, because each time the part you are getting may have different features, and therefore the part you are producing should follow a methodology which is repetitive in nature and does not bother about the shape and size of the object. So these two things, like I said, one is STL file and another is the method of building the layers. So like in digital images, what we do in a digital image, an image is composed of the pictures elements, those are known as pixels, the 2D elements, and the same analogy is extended for STL files. The STL file format uses a series of linked triangles to recreate or reproduce surface geometry of 3D model. The more triangles used, the higher resolution the 3D model will have, and if it is less triangles are used, it will have the coarse model. STL file is widely used because it is simple, light and easy to handle by 3D machines and softwares. How it represents, you can see here also. So the surface, each surface of the object is represented by the patch of triangles, and these triangles are appropriately connected together. If the number of triangles are high, then you can see the objects are better in shape or represented more accurately. Now whatever the shape of the CAD model is, the basic element is always same, triangle, and you need to just appropriately keep these triangles in such a way that it can represent your object. In a similar fashion, for realizing the part also, additive manufacturing follows a very generic step, that is stacking the layers one over another. So for example, if you want to build this particular part, it will be built in layer by layer manner like this. So each time you are dealing with the 2D lamina. There are different ways of joining these laminas that we will discuss later, but the ultimate methodology is quite similar. You can see if I am using very thick layers, then of course the resolution will be quite bad, and if I am using very fine layers, the resolution will be very good. So the objects are fabricated by joining the thin layers by a suitable method. Therefore the method of producing the product is generic and hence completely automatic. That is why this technology, additive manufacturing, deserves to be called as digital manufacturing. Also, this technology is sometimes referred by the keywords like rapid. If you see a 3D printer, it will look like it is depositing the material with a very low deposition rate. It will build the part in days. However, the other processes like CNC machining can really build the part faster than 3D printing, but we call this process rapid. Why? So to understand why we call this technology rapid, let us try to understand first the typical product development cycle. It shows a typical product development cycle. We start with the definition of the product. and then we create the concept design and evaluation. Then we do the design analysis, and hence then after that we create the prototype. After creating the prototype, we create its 3D CAD model if the prototype is satisfactory and go for the design documentation. In this case, the prototype are of two types, virtual and physical. Let us try to understand the different types of prototypes. What you are seeing here on this diagram, there are 6 axes. One here which is showing the whether the prototype is physical or it's virtual, whether the prototype is accurate or it's rough, whether the prototype is complete or it's on the component level. Let me take one example to explain what is the meaning of different types of these prototypes. If a prototype is rough and virtual, then you can say that, and of course of a complete thing, then you can say that it is nothing but a sketch. And example here is a car. So it is nothing but a sketch of the car. It is rough, virtual and complete. Another example, if it is accurate, not rough, very accurate, complete, but towards virtual, means virtual. So accurate, complete and virtual means the example could be a CAD model of the car. Then it could be physical, rough but complete. In that case, it will be nothing but a prototype of the car, such as prototype of wood, wax or thermocol. Also it could be a physical, accurate and complete. In that case, it will be nothing but the final product. So these different types of prototype has to be done very fast way, because if you really want your product to reach market in a very faster manner, you need to complete this product development cycle in a very faster manner. Therefore, two things are now important. One is computers to perform this virtual prototyping, and another is a manufacturing technology which can create these prototypes irrespective of the changes those are suggested during the iterations without any change in the delay of the time. That is nothing but additive manufacturing really satisfies this value, and additive manufacturing really satisfied this, and hence it deserves to be called as rapid prototyping. This is complete cycle of the product development. Here you can see, if I call about the virtual prototyping where the computers are involved, we start with the conceptual design, then we go for the primary design and we do the simulation with the realistic appearance, and hence all these iterations you usually do in a virtual reality. Then from this the output is a detailed design which we again simulate to check its functionality, and then we make the changes based on the design for manufacturing, and again manufacture for the again simulate for the corresponding manufacturing process. As an output of this virtual prototyping is nothing but a CAD model. Once you get this CAD model, the 3D CAD model, we go for prototyping. Like I said, any process, any manufacturing process can be rapid prototyping if it creates the prototype faster. However, we have seen due to the generic nature of additive manufacturing, it is well suitable for creating the prototype in a very faster manner. Hence, rapid prototyping is a suitable term given for additive manufacturing. Like now, if we are able to create the prototypes in a very faster manner, of course our manufacturing cycle will increase. Hence, the overall cycle of manufacturing can increase. The process may also called as rapid manufacturing. Also, there are some parts in the manufacturing process, those are really not in large numbers, such as the toolings. If I talk about the injection molding tool, they are really less in number, but the parts produced by the injection molds are very large. Therefore, if we produce the tooling in a rapid manner, then the process should be called as rapid tooling. And additive manufacturing is again suitable for this, because the toolings are less in number, and each time if there is a change in the design, the tooling has to change. Hence, we have to create these toolings rapidly, and hence the process additive manufacturing can be sometimes called as rapid tooling if used appropriately for tooling. So these are the reasons for different names given for the additive manufacturing processes. Now let us discuss about the capabilities of additive manufacturing. Like I said, this particular definition is already defining the major capability of the process, that is corresponding to the geometric capabilities. Like I already mentioned, if the part geometry is changing, it does not bother, because additive manufacturing is an automatic process of manufacturing objects like parts, prototypes, tools and even assemblies directly from their CAD models without any cutter, tool or fixture specific to the object geometry. Now it is obvious that the geometry which can produce by additive manufacturing can be very complicated. On the other hand, the material capabilities, the additive manufacturing is capable of handling the variety of materials such as polymer, metal, ceramic, non-equilibrium materials, gradient materials, monolithic materials, composites, porous structure, lattice structures, soft material, hard material and all. Therefore, it is very much capable of handling different type of materials. We shall discuss about its geometric and material capability one by one. So this is the first one, which is called as the capability of realizing the direct assemblies. In a conventional manner, if you want to produce this particular part, you will go for this route. First, you will create this part number 1 by any process, then you will create the part number 2, then part 3, the center shaft, part 4 and part 5, these two end caps, and then you will assemble these together to create this part. While in the case of additive manufacturing, you can print the whole thing in a single go, because the steps of realizing the part are quite generic. What will happen if you talk about any intermediate slicing, which you are seeing here in the dash lines? It will have nothing but some gaps available. If there is a tolerance, there will be no material, and hence you can create the parts without any joints. I will give you one example. This particular part was built by SLS, where the direct assembly was produced in a single go. If you open this part, you will see that it is consisted of two parts, and then they are assembled together through the threaded joints. However, the portion where the material is not there, some loose powder will be there, and that can be later on removed. That is how you can produce the direct assemblies through this process. Another example of direct assembly, which are almost impossible to get by other means, are showing here. So there are multiple circles one inside another. So these assemblies are not really possible by the conventional process, because if you build this red color part first and then green color part, you can't put it inside. While by additive manufacturing, you can realize them appropriately, and then the remaining powder or the support can be removed, and hence you will have the object through the direct assemblies. Other geometric capabilities are like capabilities of realizing the conformal cooling channels. Conventionally, when we have this type of die, for example, to manufacture this particular object, we used to have the cooling channel, those are straight drilled. And then the water can go only from one side, and then it can circulate and come through the another side. While through the additive manufacturing, you can build the non-linear ducts like you are seeing here. These cooling channels are basically conformal to the object geometry, and then it is going from here inside the water and then coming out from here. So this type of capabilities are only possible by additive manufacturing. Other than that, the capability of realizing the customized objects. I will give you one example. This is an object which is used to take care of the broken bones, and it is customized for a particular patient. It depends on the hand of the patient. So this type of object can be easily created by additive manufacturing. You need to just scan the hand appropriately, make its CAD model and create the part. If you go for other unconventional processes like injection molding, in that case the route will be quite time consuming, because in that case you have to first create the injection mold, and then you have to create the you have to set up everything, and then it can create the parts. But if it is like less in numbers, the technology is extremely good. However, the technology is also good for mass customization. So, in the case of mass customization, you can print multiple parts in a single go and each and every of them will be of different type, what you are seeing on this diagram. Because the method of realizing the object will remain same, it will take the slice of each time at a particular z height, and hence this is a slicing contours at a particular height, say z1. The hatch area is where the material has to be sintered or need to be melted. Now after that, if the z height is increasing, this is the another slice. In this slice now you see that some of the components are completed, there will be only loose powder on top of them, while some of them are still getting built. So in a single go you can print different objects on the bed, and that those objects can be customized accordingly. This is an excellent example of mass customization. So these are some other layers of the same process. The process is also capable of realizing the complicated lattice structures, what you are seeing here. I will show you a physical component also of similar kind. This type of components are almost impossible to manufacture by any other process, and they are called as lattice structure. These structures are very popular to increase the strength to weight ratio, and hence are really find many applications in aerospace and other industries. Other than that, you can create the functionally graded materials. Functionally graded materials can be of two types, density based and material based. The density based FGMs are where the density of the object can vary. Like what you are seeing here is a bone. We know that our bone doesn't have a constant density. The density of the bone varies from outer to inwards. And as you are building this object by additive manufacturing in a layer by layer manner, each time what you need to do, the cross section of the layer may look like this. It will have high density on the periphery, while the low density on the towards the center. And in that manner only you just scan the entire layer, and hence you will be able to produce the density based functionally graded materials. Now we shall discuss about some of the material capabilities of the process. Like I said, additive manufacturing technologies are capable of handling a variety of materials. Some of the non-metals are highlighted here, like the polymer and composites. Already the processes have been developed: photopolymers, thermoplastics, nylons, carbons, fiber reinforced, and all these materials, those are compatible with the UV based processes or the extrusion based processes. Other than that, the ceramic, lot of ceramic based materials have been tried on additive manufacturing processes, such as eggshell, alumina, ceramic matrix composite, polymer derived ceramics and all. Also, the construction materials nowadays are very popular with additive manufacturing, such as cement, concrete, fiber reinforced concrete, Portland, etc. Also, the biomaterials and food materials, such as bioink, drug and pharmaceutical materials, the food materials like chocolate, cheese, powdered sugar and all, you can print in appropriate manner. Metals, lot of metals have already been explored, and some of them are being explored by the researchers. Some of them are highlighted here, those are available in the literature, such as the pure metals, copper, gold and titanium have already been tested. The parts have already been produced by these metals, and the metal alloys, those are listed here, have already been tested and are available in literature. The high entropy alloys, the magnetic alloys, all are possible to process through the additive manufacturing technology. Also, like I said about the density based FGM, there is something called as material based FGM or only functionally graded material, where instead of the density, the material composition can vary from one end to another end. What you are seeing here is a functionally graded material where the inner profile or inner material is metal, which is changing towards its periphery to ceramic. You can define appropriate curve of how this material should change, how the percentage of metal should change from this end to this end. And appropriately, while creating the layers, while scanning the each cross section of the layer, you can add appropriate material. You can create colorful objects, and you can give these colors not to the periphery, you can give these colors to the interior of the object. Some of the examples are shown here. You can also create the transparent objects by this technology, and a very suitable process for this will be the wet photopolymerization based process. And another example of colorful object. I will show you some of the manufactured part. This is a transparent object fabricated by wet photopolymerization, and this is a colorful object fabricated by inkjet. This is a functionally graded material where there are two materials used. You can see bottom is the black color, and slowly it is changing towards the top, and it has become white color material. It was created by FDM. There are some metal objects of very complicated geometry. It is of stainless steel, and this is an example of an object with high strength to weight ratio, which is having the lattice kind of structures here. Now we shall discuss about the last part of this lecture, that is the classification of additive manufacturing. By ASTM, the additive manufacturing processes have been classified into 7 categories. First is wet photopolymerization, second is material jetting, third is binder jetting, fourth is material extrusion, fifth is sheet lamination, sixth is powder bed fusion, seventh is directed energy deposition. What is wet photopolymerization? In the case of wet photopolymerization, we used to have a tank of liquid photopolymer, and you have a part here which is mounted on a table which goes down each time by the required layer thickness. This is your part. There is a laser coming from the top, and there is a mirror which can rotate in this manner. The laser strikes on this mirror and falls down. It is typically a UV laser. Wherever this laser falls, the photopolymer get cured and form the solid structure. These lines what you are seeing are nothing but the support structures. Each time when one layer is realized, the platform goes down and the next liquid layer comes on the top, which get further scanned by the laser and get cured. This is called as wet photopolymerization process. Next is material jetting. In the case of material jetting, there is a head which can dispense the material, what you are seeing here, these are the material, on a flat surface or the substrate, and on the side of it UV light follow it. As soon as the material is injected on a paper or on a substrate, the UV light scans it and the material get cured. The process is very much similar like your 2D printer. The only thing is you just put a Z axis on the bottom side, and each time after injecting the material, the table goes down with the required layer thickness. This is material jetting. Next is binder jetting. In the case of binder jetting, we inject the binder. Usually, we first spread a layer of powder, and then from the top, the droplets come along with the binder. Sometimes the binder particles are available with the powder itself. So, for example, if we spread a layer of cement like material, and from top if we spread just water, nothing but water, this will act as a binder. Now the combination, and wherever the water droplets will fall down, that portion will get cured. This is an example of binder jetting. Next is material extrusion. This one is the most exploited additive manufacturing technology. Here we used to have two wires, one is of the main material and another is for the support material. And appropriately, wherever there is overhang, the support is deposited first and then on top of it main material is deposited. And hence there is a platform on the bottom side which can move in x direction and y direction, and usually the z axis is with the head. It can go up and down, and hence you can create the 3D objects. This particular part like this are created by FDM or material extrusion based processes. Next is sheet lamination. In the case of sheet lamination, the raw stock is in the form of sheets. Now you can appreciate one thing over here immediately, that if I stack the layer of sheets one over another, you will end up in making either cubes or cuboids. While if you really need an object to be made, you need a cutting operation parallel to that. Therefore, all the sheet lamination based processes are hybrid in nature, means they uses subtractive process also along with that. How it works? Basically, we keep the layers of the sheets basically together like this. They are joined together through the pressure or thermally activated glue, and then from the top there is a laser coming, it cuts the sheet. This particular process is called as LOM, laminated object manufacturing, and applicable for paper only. Now you can extend the same analogy of sheet lamination for metal. For example, you have metallic sheets and these sheets are joined together by maybe ultrasonic consolidation or friction stir welding, and then later on to get the desired shape you cut the periphery accordingly. So each time you join two sheets together, and from top, if it is paper, laser, or if it is some other metallic object, the end milling cutter can come and cut the periphery appropriately. Then another layer will come on top of it and it will keep on building the part. Of course, you need to provide some mechanism or some cut pass in such a way that the remaining material can be removed later on, the excess material. This is sheet lamination. Next is powder bed fusion. In the case of powder bed fusion, we spread a layer of powder in a bed, and then from top a laser lights fall onto it, and there is a mirror which can rotate like this. Due to the rotation of the mirror, the laser beam can deflect in x and y direction on the bed, and hence it can scan the 2D region. Each time after completion, there is a bed which goes down by the desired layer thickness. In this case, the powder particles got melted or sintered with the pre-built or previous layer. One of the example of the part created by this is this metallic object. Next is directed energy deposition. In the case of directed energy deposition, we uses a laser beam or arc or plasma to create the molten pool on the substrate on the pre-built layer. This is the molten pool, and in this molten pool we feed the wire appropriately. It can be wire or it can be powder as well, and hence now the table can move in x, y and z direction, x, y, and it can go up also as per the desired layer thickness. This is how you can scan the entire 3D region and you can build the parts. Very good example in this could be retrofitment of a welding gun on a CNC machine. So you just put your welding gun on a CNC machine, and that welding gun can deposit the material in the 2D lamina, and then you keep on going above, it will create the 3D structure. It is an example of directed energy deposition. So basically this summarizes the classification given by ASTM. We discussed about the wet photopolymerization, material jetting, binder jetting, material extrusion, sheet lamination, powder bed fusion and directed energy deposition. Why ASTM have classified these processes in this manner? I mean to say, why not DED first and then after that material extrusion? This is because they have aligned them based on the energy consumption. Least energy is required in the case of wet photopolymerization. Typically, a laser of 40 milliwatt is used here. A typical laser of 40 milliwatt is used to cure the layer or to cure the liquid material over here. While in the case of powder bed fusion, approximately a laser of 500 watt is used. And in the case of DED, lasers up to 6 kilowatt are usually preferred. So you can see that from this point onwards, from wet photopolymerization to directed energy deposition, they are aligned as per their energy consumption. So least energy is consumed usually for wet photopolymerization, while high energy is consumed for the directed energy deposition. However, the classification given by ASTM cover all the additive manufacturing processes. Let us try to make the classification more simpler. This particular classification is given based on the raw material. There are three different types of raw material we can use. Either it can be liquid, it can be solid, or it can be gas. Although gas is not yet available for additive manufacturing, gas as a raw material, while liquid and solid are available. If liquid is available, there are two possible processes. First is wet photopolymerization. Another could be rapid freezing, where the droplet falls and got freeze. It's an example of fabricating the ice-like objects. If the raw material is solid, then there are three types. First is sheet can be the raw material, powder can be the raw material, or wire can be the raw material. If sheet is the raw material, then the example is laminated object manufacturing. We have just seen that. If powder is the raw material, then the examples are 3D printing process, selective laser sintering, directed energy deposition. And if wire is a raw material, then the example is fused deposition modeling or wire arc additive manufacturing. We shall stick to this particular classification for our further discussion. Now, with this we have already completed the introduction to additive manufacturing. Now we shall move in next module to the discussion towards the computer aided process planning for additive manufacturing, and then we shall discuss the four classification which we just gave to additive manufacturing. Those are liquid based additive manufacturing, sheet based additive manufacturing, wire based additive manufacturing and powder based additive manufacturing. With this, thank you very much.